to the ring up. It's like, bitch, what you wanna do with me? If I don't know you, just fuck it. If I don't fuck with you, just fuck it. It's bad business, nigga. You know it's on. Get my brother to take him down. He don't need that motherfucking chain.
The chosen one is back. The chosen one is back. Black got your hat. Alright, whatever. I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a thing. Get used to it. It's gonna be intro music, and yeah, it's gonna be like, you know, when you walk up to the plate. But I haven't really been able to even like lock in, cause I literally was like, oh, I'm about to go take a break, whatever, lock in. But then it's like, oh, I gotta go like fix my car. I gotta like deal with, you know, they're trying to like, you know, they're like running a racket over down at the dealership, and all the, I don't know, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Man, I thought unemployment was gonna be like, man, you have nothing to do all day, so you just like post up, chill, write code. But no, it like everything else keeps going, and you still have to figure out how to make money. So whatever, it is what it is, you know. And it's good, and it's good. Okay, back to work. Everybody, back to work. All right, so let's see. All right, we got. All right, so what's happening here? We decided to put. Okay. So here's. I don't think we need this. This is what we decided to do. We decided to have a. So we have our like in buffer. And then we have our out buffer. I don't know if this is actually going to be whatever. So in we have like elements, quads, layout. So for an element, you might have a quad, you might have a layout, you might just have a quad, you might just have a layout. Either way, for each quad and layout, we have a quad, like a resolved quad, and a resolved quad. So we have a resolved quad for a layout, we have a resolved quad for a quad. And so why? Why is that? Well, and maybe this isn't the best way to do it, but I'm really just thinking out loud. So we have basically, let's say we have like a like we have some like you know, like box that expands downward, and so you have like, you know, you might have like alright, I'm gonna just put C for children, and then, you know, so on and so forth. That's an arrow. Okay, so this box goes down, right? This box goes down. So this box, the bounding box, like the height would be OP, or I'm gonna say like constraint, like I've been using max child height. That's sort of a misnomer, because really that's not, it's what we're not looking, we're looking for the sum of all the, I mean, we're looking for the bounding box of the layout. So we could say like height is like the height of its contents or something. That's a little bit clearer. So like the height equals the height of its contents. Okay. Because that way we don't have to say like, oh, it expands, because height doesn't, like, what is the height? Just, can you describe what the height should be in words? Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So we know that. So what happens is we come across quad, we get height equals constraint contents. That means height is not resolved on the first pass. Right? Now layout's interesting because this quad right here is gonna basically be updated. We're gonna have a pointer to this quad. Pointer to this quad. I mean, we also have a pointer to the parent quad too. So that's another sort of like interesting caveat here where it's like I don't want to do things the way that I used to do them just because that's the way I used to do them. Like I do really want to think about this stuff, and like this is the other thing I appreciate about like a personal project. It's sort of like I am trying to get this done this week. We'll see if that happens, but you know, it won't be a lack for working on it. You know, I'm gonna be locked in on it regardless. But it's just gonna be like, you know, it's like you don't have to like compromise yourself. You don't have to like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to like slut yourself out, so to speak, to like just write whatever code. Get like, you know what I mean? It's like there's plenty of times where it's just like you just write code. You're just like, this isn't me. You know what I'm saying? That's not who I am as an engineer, as a person. This working on this code base is against my values. Because I don't believe in it. Like I don't believe that code should be written this way. But yeah, it is what it is. It like sometimes you're in those situations when you do have a deadline. If you have a project, you know, sometimes it might be with like a job or something like that. It's not gonna be every time, but like in my experience, that sometimes happens, and it's like, you know, you could. All I'm trying to say is I'm glad to be working on my own code right now because it does help me with like clarity in it, and it helps me figure out how I want to code in the future. Like I have all these like ideas and sort of like ideals, I guess, but like how practical are all these things? Okay. And this is an experiment. Paradigm, this whole game engine, this larger game engine, which I have like not demoed at all, but like, you know, it's a pretty big project. We got like a bunch of other stuff. Physics library somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, this is honestly like the thing that I'm the most proud of is this repository, and Paradigm, the UI framework, is just a small part. Anyways. So we have resolve quad. So we have a pointer to this quad. We also already have a pointer to this one, as a parent. I think it's just ctx.parent or current or what even is it? It's, and man, I hope like. I hope everything's audible. What is it? Yeah, it's just parent. Okay. Should probably name that a little bit better. Whatever. Okay, so we want to be updating. Basically the goal here. Goal is to keep track of children's heights. Let's say we're at an iteration. It could be the first iteration. It might be the second. Where now height and the way the layout expands. Okay, so this might be a little unclear. You know, I'm not too good at English yet, but basically, right, we need to keep track of where things go. So if we add, let's say this layout is layout direction down, and we'll forget all the other members. All we need to know right now is that the layout direction is down. Okay. Regardless of whether we know the top left of this quad, whether this is resolved or not, that doesn't matter. We can still derive the height. So we know C. Let's say each child, let's just say for simplicity, each child is 20 pixels tall. Okay. So we add I'm not going to write out element each time, but we add another quad, another quad, another quad. Let's say we add 3 children. So now we know, and every time we add a quad, we know this layout. We know what layout we're working with because we know it is the second from the top in the stack. Okay? So we can get it from, like, in the same way that we have CTX parent, we could have, you know, CTX.parent layout. We could also just use, it might be worth it. I don't know if we want to really keep all of these like, this is sort of getting, you know, when it's 1 or 2 things that are convenient to have, at a certain point, maybe we need to put these in like a separate struct, whatever. Either way, we get layout, or sorry. At this point, you know, we say, we look at, I mean, we can refer to this, like, I know how this works off the top, but just to show you, like, so, alright, actually, you know what, I'm not gonna change that for now. Basically, we know we can get the direction, and then, oh wait, this isn't what we do. We want to, wait, is it? There's something where, oh, is it here? Yeah, it's in eval quad. Sorry. I was looking in the wrong spot. So if the layout direction is down, and we know all of the width, layout width is resolved by default, just FYI, because it always starts off at 0 by 0. We say the width is the maximum width, or the width is basically the max width of each child that we're adding, and the height is the sum of the heights of each child. So let's say it's like, let's say, can you not? Hey, what the hell, bro? I don't want to hear it. Come on, I'm doing shit. Stop. Sorry, cat took my AirPod. Tried to eat it. It's all good. Disaster averted. Okay, so each child is 20 pixels tall and 60 pixels wide. So what do we know? We know by the time we add 3 children that the layout, that this layout quad is going to be 20 by, or 60 by 20. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this one's still not resolved because we didn't know the height of its contents. So we need another pass for that. And because, and again, like I think I explained this before, we're not going to try to finesse this in one pass because there's so many situations where there's no way to finesse it in one pass. So 2 passes is fine. Whether we do more work in the first pass and less work in the second pass, or just, you know, a similar amount of work in the first or second, like, that really shouldn't matter. You're still doing the same amount of work. It doesn't matter in which pass. Okay. Okay. So we do that. It's 60 by 20. Now, the question is, do we need this information? The question is, do we need this information, like, I don't know if we need a separate quad for this. That's what I'm trying to get at. I don't know if we need, because what we can do is we could just use the parent quad and update that. We can just say the width gets updated. Now, and then if something can't be resolved, you cancel the whole operation. I think we should do it that way. I'm just trying to think like what if your height is right, because each time you're gonna need to check, but it's probably better to check than actually do this math. You know what? I think I was right before. I think I'm not gonna add an extra quad, and I think we are just going to use, if the constraint is contents, we can get that information from here. We should be able to get that information from the stack. That's the issue, is now now the stack has to keep track of a layout. If we just have, let's call this layout config. Or honestly, let's just call it layout, fuck it. Then we have out index. We take that out, we take that out. Then we say something like, see, is this abusing the system? Because it's going to be special rules. That way we can do it in one pass. Well, we don't actually, we could say, we could even say for layout info, we could actually say bool expands parent X expands parent Y. We could do something like that. So that we don't actually need to know what the actual constraint is. When we read the constraint, we can set this. Well, it wouldn't be expands parent, parent, I don't know. Content, it grows parent, expands parent. That's pretty much the same thing. Okay. Maybe let's keep it like that for now. Okay. This, we don't actually need layout context. Okay. Let's try this. Let's try this. So, let's see if we can do like a minimum, like a very simple test. It might take a little bit. Okay, so we read in the layout information. Now, I can eval quad. What am I missing? Why should there be a default? Whatever. I didn't think there were more options. Whatever. Okay. I feel like sometimes, like, here it doesn't ask me for a default. Whatever. So the question then becomes the ledger. And the ledger Yeah. Okay. So we are gonna need the layout context. I don't know what. We can say float ledger X, float ledger Y. Get rid of that. And then we have our config. Okay, and then we have layout context, layout CTX. Okay. That I think is okay. Now back to eval layout. We want ledger X, ledger Y. Again, we're gonna skip padding for now or anything like that. Okay. So now when we get something, this is really what we want to change. Okay. But here's the question, right? And now I'm thinking, I'm kind of going back on this. Now I'm thinking, what happens when we want a minimum? Let's say we want something to be at a minimum 200 pixels wide, but then expand. If its contents are wider, we want it to expand. How would we handle that? Okay. So we say, or we write an expression. So then to do that, we would be like, width equals min and we have this expression builder, so like we can write it like this: expression min of expression we want max 200 and then contents X. Okay. That means we have to know this one's special. We have to know when we're using contents X or contents Y. Right? Or do we? Do we? Yeah, we do. If we're using contents X, then yeah, if we're using contents, if we're not using, okay, so like let's say so instead of this, we might still need that, but we basically need to know, are we expanding to Do we consider contents width? Do we consider contents height? Depends on contents X. Depends on contents width. I like using width, even though it's longer. I'm just gonna write false and false, but this is really what we want. So if we say depends on contents width, which means we're using contents, the constraint, if it depends on the contents width. Okay, here's what it is. Here's the way to think about it, right? Layout defines how, I'll write this out. Layout defines how contents, how a, alright, I'm gonna say a layout defines how its, I don't know if its contents width and height are calculated, or it defines how its contents are laid out, which informs how its contents, how its width and height are calculated, because it's not each individual content. So I don't know. I'm not a grammar guy. I'm not a man of 1,000 words. Okay, a layout defines how its contents are laid out, which informs how its width and height are calculated. Okay. Now, if a box, so its contents width and height are theoretically going to be the same regardless of its parent quad. So you could say a quad can choose to define its size based, I'm gonna say derive its size from contents. Did I spell that wrong? Did I? How do I spell that non-Microsoft Word? Ooh, but it won't even, whatever. Christ on a stick in the heat of July. Alright, a quad can choose to derive its size from its contents size, but it can also ignore it. Okay. So, if we do not depend on the contents width, we skip this. We already know and see, maybe, oh man, see, now I'm thinking, oh, shoot. Huh. See, now I'm sort of back to like, okay, so if we're gonna use contents width, like let's say we do have this, or let's say we have width equals contents x times 2, or contents width times 2. Okay, we can't really incrementally do that. I mean, I guess we could. Contents width plus 3 times 2. How do we do that incrementally? Contents width, like how do we, can we do that? Is there a way to do that? It would probably be like per expression. Really, I think this is just simpler if we fill this somewhere. Now, where do we fill it? That's a really good question. Because on the second iteration, we need to know where to read it from. And if we're reading through a buffer and we're parsing each step of the way, and for a quad, it could have a bunch of expressions that we don't know. I mean, we'd have to like parse the whole quad and then go back and fill it in. But we're going, but we know where to fill it in. We're not filling it in. So what? Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close. Forgive me if you're not following. Let's say we have okay. So what happens when we do this? Where do we get this value from? We say we go to our layout. We go to our actual layout, which but we haven't parsed that yet, because parent layout, where are we even getting this from? Shoot. Parent layout, it's a layout context. Layout okay, so it's happening before, but we need our current layout. This doesn't happen till there, right? If stack is in place back out index, CTX current so we kind of, the question is where to store this stuff. And we don't want to assume every quad has a layout. Do we expect layout to come before quad? Because no. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is here. This is confusing. I'm genuinely confused. I'm gonna turn off this AC. I'm genuinely confused. Man, it's been 30 minutes. I haven't done shit. Actually, I have. This is pretty important to do. Okay. Because we basically just need to know where to write this value. or where to get this value from. If we're here, where? If we are here, where do we get contents with? Where do we it has to be a look ahead of some sort, right? Because this value gets calculated as you build up, but it can be used in an equation. So we need a unique spot to write contents with, and not everything has children. Yep. I think, yep. It's not even like I don't like this solution. It's just like I already had it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh man, whatever. And now that, like, I keep waffling. You know what I mean? I keep going back and forth, and now it's just like, I just have to write more code to fix this. That's fine. We're just gonna have we're gonna have an extra quad in the out buffer. That's what we're gonna do, and we're just gonna keep track of the width and the height, because the other solution is like, okay, now for the quad buffer, like, we end up storing multiple types inside the, I'm sorry, let's just do a vector of quads. How about that? Let's just do a vector of quads and not like lose our minds. And then if that actually becomes an issue, because it probably won't, then we can be like, okay, well, we're only going to store width and height. Whatever. I don't even know where I am in this code base. Okay. Okay, so we didn't even remove that code. Okay. Okay, so how do we get this? We say Jesus Christ, like, why is it sometimes it's like search the entire thing? Okay. I don't know if we actually need parent layout. Actually don't think we need that. Maybe we need that. Okay. Expression. I gotta clean up some of these comments. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say anytime we assign current quad, we can say ctx.current layout quad. Nope. Let's see if this works. This is like definitely like sort of buffer overflow, but then also like if we call reserve, is it just treated like an array? Like, can we access that data? I don't know what chat will say. If I have a std vector and I reserve, let's say I reserve 30 elements. back 10 times, what happens if I go vec 10? But if I get the pointer to vec 10, and then I call and place back, that pointer should still be to the same memory, yes? All right, chat. All right. I'm not against this. Let's run with this. Let's run with this because yeah, let's just see what happens. Fuck it. I need to get something done. Okay. So this stuff we actually want parent. Actually, I don't even think we want parent layout. So if we say current layout quad, okay, so it should be automatically unresolved. So if it's unresolved, I think that's the right logic, right? So like if current layout quad, if width is unresolved, we don't get anything. If it's resolved, we get the width. Okay. Okay. Now, what else is broken? This is broken. Okay, so we don't need this depends. We need to say, because by default it's not, right? Okay, so it starts off. So this function eval layout must be called after eval quad. Eval quad may try to resolve constraint, or I'm just gonna use OP. I have so many ways to write the same constraints. It's insane. All right, so OP content width. And it needs to know that content width is not resolved on the first pass. However, here we set it to resolved because we set it to resolved and wait for, and only if one child width is unresolved, we set it back to unresolved. I think this makes sense. What, do we need a comma there? Okay. Okay. Why I hate this convert to structured bindings BS. Like, what, like, I don't know. It's just insane. Whatever. Okay. All right, lock back in. You were gone for a little bit. I don't know if we really need all this. CTX dot current layout quad dot resolve mask board with quad mask width or quad mask height. That should enable both of these things. I should turn on width and height. Okay. Now, what we can do is we can have a width and a height, and then we have a margin. We have the ledger. Yeah. Let's just use the. Excuse me. Okay, so if this is resolved, then we can say, not layout context, we can say current layout, ctx.current layout quad dot left and then we could just use this. Okay. Now, for this function, for eval quad, we care about the parent layout. We need to care about if there's a parent layout. So, if parent boom, skip. That's okay. Okay. Layout with resolved. So the real question is, layout. This should be pointing to the right thing. And so now what do we need here? If as we assume this is parent layout quad. Okay, comment that out. Okay. This, I think we just take that out. Then, alright, let's remove some of the stuff we don't need. We don't need this. I don't think we need any of that. Let's see what's happening here. Quad mask left, quad mask top. Okay. Does this build? Okay. Okay. Let's write a test. Let's write a test. How do I close this? Okay. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm gonna get some water for this. Alright, and I'm going to plug in my computer because that is a wise decision. A wise man once told me to plug in my computer. Very wise. Alright. This. Should I just write the API for this now? Nah, not yet, not yet. Once I can confirm this works, then I'll write an API for this. Okay. Size to contents size. Okay. So let's say we have a box. Okay. We have a width. We have let's see, we have contents width. Okay. Height, contents, height. Left, top, whatever. Okay. Okay, so we have contents width and contents height. Now this is going to be already sort of like again, so this is an instance where we're actually going to see like if we like place two things on top of each other, the layout's going to assume that they go on top of each other. So like we could always write logic that says, does this object move the ledger? And if it does, like you should be able to opt out of affecting the layout. But honestly, that's sort of like not really within. That honestly might not even make sense. Let's assume we have good faith users for now, which is a horrible thing to assume, but whatever. Okay. So now let's say we want another box. Child 1. This is insane. This is like actually genuinely insane. Let's say the width is float and then w.write 60, like our example. And then we'll say the height is 20. Oh, and the depth should be 1, right? Oh, but we're gonna need to write a layout here too. Cause once we eval the quad, we're gonna need to eval the layout. Okay, so the layout really just reads a layout direction, right? Layout direction. Yeah, let's just say down. W dot right margin. I don't know why I can't, whatever. W dot right spacing, which would be a float, so let's say just no spacing, and W dot right moves ledger, which will be true, which I don't even think we need this. Child 1. Okay, let's test this out. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see what happens. This could be bad. This could be real bad. And it's gone. All right. What happened? Oh, the thing that we said. Yeah, I mean, no shit. Shoot. Okay. Let's think about this. I mean, honestly, fuck it. This is what we're doing. Out buffer. Okay, out buffer is getting okay. That does work. Okay. Let's say we do resize. Okay. I'm okay with that. Now, and we don't ever use size anyways. Out buffer dot size. Okay, we do use size to test that. Okay, all right. Let's run it again. Okay, so we're reading an LM type as text. That's not good. Let's step through this. Okay. All right, so the first type is box. Second type is box. Okay, last LM depth should be 0. Or LM depth should be 0. Next LM depth should be 1. Okay, it's 0. All right, let's step through. Let's see how it happens when we get to here. Are we reading the right values? Dir is down. Margin is wrong as hell. Spacing is wrong. Moves ledger is false. Okay. Left top. Alright, let's try this. Let's see what happens when we evaluate top. Top should be 10. Okay. Okay. Let's see when our next read is. What happens if we do right? Ugh. Okay, that's gonna be too much. Too much. Right. Margin's wrong. Are we reading? Are we? Oh. I don't. I'm calling a function called margin. I just wish I could call this. See, this is going to return a layout builder that is going to be incredibly wrong. Read UI underscore underscore margin. Let's just do that and then fix the errors, because, like, honestly, this is really fucking annoying. Like, I'm never doing this again. This is insane. I think that should probably fix it. This should be margin 2. Okay. Okay, so margin 4444, spacing is 11, moves ledger is true. Okay, let's keep running. Okay, it still crashes. 10, 10, 10, 10. Dir is down. Okay. Oh, right. Oh, Christ on a stick. I hate, like, that's entirely my fault. You know what I mean? Like, I just, like, sit here and waste time. Okay. New error. These all need to be reset. Forgot about that. Okay. I didn't actually write test conditions for this. Width should be 60, height should be 20. Let's see. Huh. It must be what happens. Hold on. So the width is 60. What happens if I just... Let me break here. Let's break here. Let's see what's in this. Because the first item... So height is correct. Okay, that's pretty cool. This is the layout stuff. this should be okay, this is wrong. Okay, and I think I know why. I think what it is out index is the current index. So what we probably want is saying we need an extra anytime we're going to be using an extra slot for layout, we're going to need to move that index forward. That might be a bad place to do it, but let's just see. Okay. Okay, so that's correct. This is incorrect. This is correct. And that's incorrect. Cops outside. Okay. So I guess I'm confused why these values would be 0. I guess that's confusing to me. Why wouldn't they be persisted? Let's investigate that. But you saw. I mean, it's working. It's working. If we let it run through, it should. Yeah, it passed the test. Okay. Okay, so when we get to here, fascinating. But where did I do something wrong? Contents width. How are we getting 60 at the beginning then? Something's not right. Let's try this. So the first one doesn't have. So the second one should have so layout width resolved. Really? Parent layout quad? Why would this be 15? What? Okay, so that is resolved. That makes sense. Okay. Parent layout quad width. Because we're affecting the layout. Okay, that should work. Okay, again, I want to write. I want to write a test case for literally every element in this array. I just want to like visually see that it's working. 5, 10, 16, 20. 5, 10, 180, 20. Jesus Christ on a stick. 60, 0, 0. Okay, so once we read from the parent, see, this is interesting. We have the right value in the parent, right? But then, for some reason, we're adding 2 more 60s. I don't know why. But presumably that's because of the number of iterations. So if we say it's just 1 iteration, this won't fully be resolved. This will be resolved. This will be resolved. This will be resolved. Okay. So now, change that back to 2. I think that's what we need. Let's try that. I mean, 1 test passed. All right. Shoot. I wanted my thing. 60, 20, 60, 20, 60, 20, nothing. Okay, good. Good, very good. Okay. Let's try this. What happens if we add? What happens if we add? What do they say? What happens if they add another child in the mix? if you know what I'm talking about. Let's see what happens there. Facts. And if we change this height to 30, let's change it to 30 and 50. Run it, be back. Yup. That's the layout. We could probably say if we don't have children, we can skip the layout. We could probably just say that. In fact, I'm going to make a note. Keep everything a little more compact. Okay. 53rd. Okay. Okay, good. And now what happens when we do layout direction down? What happens when we do that? Does it work? Does it work? The width works. But what do I do different? Is something wrong here? Layout quad, current layout quad, current layout quad, top, width, height, width, height. Oh, I didn't change any of these. I didn't change a single one of these. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. There's a lot of redundancy here that could probably be squashed. You know what I mean? I feel like pirate software. I feel like CJ would fillet me alive, you know? For like having two sort of switch statements that look sort of similar. I feel like I would be like gotten. Okay, now I'm mad. Oh. Light work. Light work, bro. Come on, stop playing with me, bro. Alright. That's yeah, that's 20 plus 30 is 50. 60 is greater than 50. Alright, yep. Just to confirm it should be the same in here and here. Okay, great. I have a thought. I have a thought. Oh, is that a wasp on the window? I will. Fuck you up, bro. Okay. Like where I'm thinking like, oh, does it have children? Does it not have children? Do we just explicitly say whether we have a child or not? Like, am I doing too much work here to determine if there needs to be a layout or not? Like, should it really just be like, okay, quad. Okay, layout. Okay, children. You can add a layout to quads. You can add a layout to any element, and it will create children. There's no implicit layout, and then that way like a layout element actually makes sense. The issue is I don't want the API to get complex, but I think I could just write like a wrapper function where if you just call layout, it will add a layout. Oh, very confusing. Yeah, because I think that probably makes the most sense. Because then it's not like, oh, quads, box, whatever. It's just like, oh, layouts have children. Layouts manage their children. You don't. There's no like. What is the point of like things being inside of a box if they're not inside of a layout? Like you can put things in a box and up the z-index so that they sit on top of the box, right? Like if you want to manage that, I mean, the only reason you would do that is to like say like, okay, this box is hidden, therefore all of its children are hidden. If we want to, because that's the thing. It's like, do you want to give the user two different ways to add children? I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't think I have to make this decision now. I'm gonna stop this one and probably start a new one in a little bit when I'll probably be working on the API. It'll probably be a lot more fun. All right.